Hi, this is Terry. Welcome back to my channel. We're recording this Monday morning so that Ray doesn't yell at me for waiting too long. And if you hear some purring in the background, Felix, one of our cats, is in Ray's hands and is pretty noisy. And then hopefully Violet's just groaning behind us. So it's a mom, her kid, a cat, and a dog as we talk about some, once again, some heavy stuff today. But I'm going to start with some good news because this morning the Supreme Court of the United States announced that employers cannot discriminate against LGBTQ plus and trans workers in the workplace, which is really exciting. It is a landmark case. And makes me feel a little bit better given the continued assault by the Trump administration on humanity, but specifically against, like on Friday, trans people, saying, and I don't know all the specifics on it, but really making it even more difficult for trans people to get access to healthcare. The good news is that it's not supposed to come into effect until August. The bad news, it's once again something that we're going to have to bring to the courts in order to defend and hold the line on the rights of the people of the United States. And I was following a bunch of Twitter chatter about this case today that came out, and there are a lot of people who were celebrating it, but at the same time, were skeptical that it was simply throwing a bone to those of us on the left, because some of the other cases around DACA, releasing Trump's tax returns, there's continued attack. There's a case about abortion rights. There was one other, Trump's immunity to congressional oversight. So they're expecting cases this week or results, what's the word I'm looking for? The findings of these cases sometime this week or next week or sometime in the month of June. These are some of the big cases. And so the chatter I'm hearing is that throwing this one to the left so that some others around religious freedoms, rights, etc., that some of these may go to the right. And that's pretty scary. One of the things that I've been talking about for the last couple of years, ever since Trump got elected, is that we have been under constant attack by Trump's administration. This is women, Black people, brown people, poor people, LGBTQ plus community, not to mention the environment and our earth in general, access to healthcare. All of this has been under attack for the last 3.5 years, and it's overwhelming and it's been exhausting. I've had a number of arguments or conversations with my husband telling him that some of us have been trying to hold the line. We're not doing a great job of it because there just are not enough of us to hold the line. And then people like my husband, privileged, cis, white man, hetero white man, a privileged white man, these men who are not feeling the pain of these attacks, who are not the ones who are being attacked generally, don't necessarily even see that there's a problem or see a reason to get involved. Until you feel the pain associated with something, you don't necessarily feel obligated to get involved unless for some reason you're feeling an analogous pain, and as such you will stand up for other people and other people's rights who may not look or be like you, because you believe that all people should be treated equally and have access to the same things. And one of the things that's been very interesting in light of Black Lives Matter and all of the protests are all of the companies that are coming out with statements in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. And it's like, well, where have you been the last couple of years? Where have you, why has it taken this to see that you need to be more vocal, you need to stand with all people and not just a select few? Why is it that, what pain was finally felt? And there's an organization or a group called, I think, Pull Up for Change. I don't know exactly who's behind it, but I continue to see on Instagram the outing of companies who are not standing and putting out statements and saying what they are going to do to increase diversity within their workforce, change their hiring practices, improve the diversity of leadership and composition of their boards, or if it's in terms of investors. I don't think Pull It for Change has really gone after investors, but I think they should, because I'm also seeing investors who are putting statements out. But once again, I'm pretty skeptical that there's going to be any sort of sustained behavioral change around this unless we keep the pressure on, and we keep the pressure on hard. But even still, I mean, it's going to be so easy for so many of these companies, brands, individuals, investors to go back to just the same old, because to make the changes means changing a lot of things, means questioning a lot of things within ourselves, and really being very intentional. And it's going to be time consuming, and it's going to be hard. And a lot of people get lazy, and or look at short-term bottom line gains as the thing that's the most important thing, not realizing that this sort of investment now is absolutely necessary and will actually produce greater profits over long term. So I'm hoping that investors will continue to put pressure on the companies that they're investing in, whether it's limited partners and within venture funds, or even shareholders. Like when I get the shareholder proxies to go vote, I go look to see who's getting elected to the board, and I go look at their profiles, and if it's all white men, I actually vote against all of them. I want to see diversity. If there's a woman on the board, I actually go look to see what her background is and make sure that she's not just a token, or she's not in alignment with things that are outside of my value set. And it takes extra time to do it, and I'm probably one of the few people who actually does this. But if more of us really challenge that, I think we can start to see some bigger and broader change, which is absolutely necessary. And this brings me to something on Saturday I participated in. It was actually just a webinar that I watched. It was a fundraiser that kind of not a close friend, but a friend invited me to. And it was to get funding into the hands of this organization, I can't remember what the name it was, that is looking to activate more voters on college campuses. And I think specifically more women voters, but just more getting college kids more active in the voting process and getting them to vote. And Gloria Steinem was the special guest. And after this actually really great and diverse panel, which I thought was really good, and I followed them all on Twitter, and then I shared out something on it because I thought it needed promotion, and I don't think they did a great job with promotion on it because it was a private fundraiser. But Gloria Steinem talked specifically about how what she's seeing is that kids who are getting active and starting to vote are actually getting their parents involved and getting them to vote. And if we have any chance of countering the voting of our aging population that doesn't necessarily think or believe or have the same values, or even the same, their needs are not the same when you're over 70 versus when you are 18, 25, and just really embarking on your adult life. And we, I think there's a lack of empathy within that age group to realize that they were once that age, and that while at 70, who knows how much of your life you have left. At 18 and 20 and 25, you've got a lot of life left to live. And so what we really need to be doing is countering some of that voting that is a little short-sighted and isn't taking into account really how our society has changed, how our beliefs have changed, and how the U.S. citizens or the people in the United States, the beliefs, etc., have evolved and changed over time. And what we're not seeing is that being adequately represented within the White House, and we're not seeing it adequately represented in our Senate or in our House of Representatives. And so this is why it's even so much more important to get out and get active and vote come this November. So I was thinking through what I wanted to talk about today, and I'm actually just firing myself up. I'm feeling a little bit more motivated and confident about facing the day and facing the week. Because earlier I was reading everything that was happening on Twitter and social media, other social media, and reading the news. Probably not the best way for me to start my day, and was really down on so much that has to change. But this goes back to something, from last week that I realized is that no one else can control my thoughts, no one else can control my actions, and we do have the opportunity to make some changes, and as long as we are intentional and we work together, we can actually influence it. Because I'm trying to write my next book, and I'm looking at the stack of books that I have to read as part of the research, and I've been completely unmotivated to do any of the reading, and it's pretty frustrating, and I've been beating myself up about it. And then I took a step back and I thought about all the things going on in the world, and the things that I'm trying to do to affect change, and we've got COVID still going on, even though there are a lot of people who want to pretend that it's over, that a lot of people are just done with it. We're seeing spikes across the country. We're actually seeing spikes around the world, and we cannot lose sight of the fact that COVID is still happening, along with Black Lives Matter and the need to modify our justice system, our police departments, reallocate some of the funding so that we put it into the hands of people who are adequately trained to provide the services that our society needs, rather than just throwing more money into the militarization of the police department. So I am going to try this week to allocate just a couple hours of each day, or just a couple of days, so that I can sit down and read and try to feel good about some of the progress, and that I don't have to have a whole book read in a single day, like I did last year when I wrote Piloting Your Life. Times have changed. I have client work. Kids I'm trying to balance, supporting whether they like it or not. There's just a lot going on, and things are just harder right now. And so I'm going to try to cut myself some slack. But what I'd like to do, and I'm moving papers around, which drives Ray absolutely bonkers. But
you don't need to move the papers around. It just makes the annoying noise.
I know, but between the dog walking around and the cat purring, it's just like, it's fine. Anyway, I don't care. You care. I don't care. The eye rolling. Can you feel the eye rolling from there? Anyway, I challenge you to get involved, to get active, to stand up when you see things are not right. Speak up. Be intentional with your purchases. Be intentional about the companies that you're and brands that you are supporting. I think we can make a difference by voting with our dollars on those companies that are doing good things, and against those companies that aren't doing good things. So I challenge you to continue to be aware, get more educated, and be intentional with your time and your money. And with that, I think that's it for me, Ray. Anything else you want to chime in with?
Not particularly. I have a cat on my lap. I am very content, although now there is cat hair all over my lovely hoodie.
That's okay. And I'm drinking coffee from Adam's brain. So anyway, with that, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. And this week, as you're being intentional, take some extra risks, let go of perfection, and above all else, have some fun.
Wash your hands.
And wear your mask, because COVID is spiking, and masks are proven to reduce the sharing of this lovely virus. So masks, wash your hands, and have a good couple of days.